Welcome to episode 113 of Explode Your Expert Biz show, brought to you by gtex.org.uk. I'm your host, Simone Vincenzi, the Expert Strategist, and this is the podcast for experts who want to become the ultimate authority in their niche while making an impact in their world. Today is an incredible episode with the one and only Jill Lublin talking about Guerrilla Publicity. How can you get free publicity around? So you don't want to miss this episode. You want to stick until the end. Now, it is time before I announce and I introduce the episode about the tool of the day. This is something I've started recently where I share with you something that I use in my business or in my life that makes all the difference. Something that is really exciting, something that I find it really useful. And because today we are talking about publicity, I wanted to share with you a tool that allowed me to get a lot of free publicity. We are talking about this tool also in the interview, which is called Haro, Haro. That stands for Help a Reporter Out. This is a great website which you can find at www.helpareporter.com, and it connects reporters and journalists with experts and influencers. So you can create a free account. There is paid account, free account, but I've been using a free account for years and I've got hundreds of my articles published on other I got podcast interviews, I wrote articles for other magazines, I got on the front page of a cover of a magazine with one of my articles, and so on. So this is a great resource that you can use. It's called Haro, Help a Reporter Out. The website is www.helpareporter.com. Make sure that you check it out because it will make the difference in the way you interact with people and also in the way you will get media appearances. Now it's time to introduce the show. Today, as I said, I have the pleasure to interview Jill Lublin, and Jill Lublin is an international speaker on the topic of radical influence, publicity, networking, kindness, and referrals. She's the author of 4 best-selling books, including Get Noticed Get Referral, and co-author of Guerrilla Publicity and Networking Magic. Her latest book, Profit of Kindness, went number 1 in 4 categories. Jill is a master strategist on how to position your business for more profitability and more visibility in the marketplace. She's the CEO of a strategic consulting firm and has over 20 years of experience working with over 100,000 people plus internationally and international media. Jill teaches public crash courses as both live events and live webinars and consults and speaks all over the world. And in this episode, we talk about why you should have publicity and keep following publicity as an expert, how to get free publicity, and how to monetize the media opportunities that you get. There is all the transcripts and the show notes on our website. You can find the link where you can find all the transcripts and show notes on our blog, which is www.gtex.org.uk/episode iPhone 113. So make sure that you check it out. The link as well, all the links you can find in the show notes, all the links as well to connect with the one and only Jill. Now, before we start, let me remind you that if you want to create 6 figures presentation and become awesome at selling from the stage but without compromising your integrity, I have created the Ultimate Selling from the Stage checklist, which is the most comprehensive checklist that to help you create a pitch that sells, but without using manipulative and sleazy techniques. And also, if you find that, so the link here of the checklist is in the show notes, so make sure you do download it right now. And if you find that this journey is a bit lonely, isolating, and you want to connect with like-minded people, make sure that you join our Facebook group, which is Explode Your Expert Biz. You can find it on Facebook at Explode Your Expert Biz, or you can see it here on in the show notes as well. I would love to hear from you. I would love to hear what you like, what you don't like. I would love to hear what kind of guest we should interview. Or do you want to be a guest yourself? Are you an influencer in your field? Make sure that you reach out to me at simone@gtex.org.uk. That email goes straight into my inbox. Now this long introduction is finished. I hear you screaming, Simone, let me hear it from Jill. I want to get free publicity. Of course, of course, of course. Now is your time, and let's start the music. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of Explode Your Expert Biz Show. I'm here with the one and only Jill Lublin. Today we are talking all things publicity. So buckle up, because as you know, getting publicity is a great way to explode your expert business. So it's going to be an incredible interview. Hi Jill, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. So good to be here with you.
Fantastic. Now, Jill, I know that you've published many books, number one best-selling author in 4 categories. You've helped many entrepreneurs to get publicity with your tips and hacks and strategies. But before we go into that, why did you choose this topic? What's your story?
Ah, well, I actually started my career in law school. I always wanted to be an attorney, and I was excited about that. And then I got to law school. And for a highly creative mind like mine, it was actually quite difficult. So I thought about, what can I do to make this more interesting? And I started working in the music business for music business attorneys, which helped me really start my path, which is the path of promotion and publicity. I just really discovered that that was my true talent, and it kind
Right.
of naturally led me down that path. And I opened up my own PR agency, and then I was very blessed to get tapped on the shoulder to write my first book, Guerrilla Publicity. And that's really how it all started.
That's brilliant. And throughout this journey, what was the happiest moment? If you have to think about your career and all the things that you have achieved, what was the happiest moment, or the moment where you are the most proud of yourself?
Oh, well, there are many, to be honest. I think, honestly, when I opened the box of my first books, Guerrilla Publicity, and opened that box, it was like, like birthing a child. It takes a while. It actually took longer than most children, but I think that for me was really, really special, and I was very proud to hold it. And then I remember going to Barnes and Noble, the major bookstore, for one of my first book signings, and they had a big poster of me, and I went, wow, it
Hmm.
felt really good. And I think that for me was my proudest moment.
And how about your lowest moment, the moment where you were saying,
Mm.
"Oh my God, why am I doing this? Like, I want to just quit. I want to put my blankets over my head, stay in bed with my hot water bottle, and not even say hi to anyone." So, what was that moment for you?
Honestly, I'm being an entrepreneur has lots of those moments where you just have to force yourself to get out of bed and do the next thing. I mean, cash flow. When my cash flow is low, I those are low moments. And I think every entrepreneur deals with that. So I would tell you, my whole career is a bit of a roller coaster, ups and downs, lots of beautiful and blessed things happening. And then there's moments where it's like, I don't know how I'm going to create this. I don't know where the capital is coming from. That's probably my low moments, when I'm really
Hmm.
not sure how my big vision will be capitalized.
Any particular episode that comes to mind where you were able to turn something that seemed like a very low moment into a victory?
It's interesting, because even as you ask, I either blocked them out. I try to be an optimist all the time. I mean, I can tell you there's lots of moments where I'm like, why am I doing this? What am I doing? Well, here's an interesting thing. I remember even up to last year, it was toward the end of the year,
Yeah.
and 2 people hadn't paid me what they said they were going to. I spoke on some major stages, and I didn't get paid for my services. And I'm like, oh my
Mm.
God, what do I do? And then honestly, somebody else, with my new book, Profit of Kindness, had proposed and and I had contracted for some services for him, and he didn't deliver the services as promised. And so I was out about $12,000 at the almost end of the year, which is not a good time to be out that much
Nope.
money. And then all of a sudden, I got asked to speak on Lisa Nichols' stage, who's a
Mm-hmm.
wonderful
Mm-hmm.
author, entrepreneur, and major movement
Yeah,
in the
she's
transformational
great.
world. She is really great, and I got asked to speak on her stage, and all of a sudden, all this cash flow, flowed in, and everything relieved, and I think that for me was a pretty intense moment when, I had a new book out and someone didn't deliver on services. I was very disappointed. I'm very sad. And especially with the excitement of a new book, and frankly, it did well anyway. But I think that was a disappointing moment, and plus a lot of money out, and I was able to recover that. I think that would probably be my latest one that I can remember.
Thank you very much for sharing, Jill. I really appreciate it. The reason why we ask those questions is because we want to know the entrepreneur, the expert behind the topic or the tools and the strategies that they share. Because uh, everyone has a story, everyone has ups and downs, and we have a lot of our listeners that few of them are starting out, many have been already in business for a while, and we can definitely relate and learn from each other, and also like say, hey, you know what, I get where you're coming from, I've been there last month too, or oh yeah, I can understand it, but then it kind of reinforces us and supports us. That's also why we invite people to join our Facebook group, which is Explode Your Expert Biz, because then you can keep going the conversation, and then you start with incredible experts like yourself, Jill. Now, the question there for you is talking about publicity. Why publicity? Why is so crucial for experts to be seen?
Well, I'll tell you something. In 24 years of doing publicity, it is one of the most powerful strategies to get you more visibility. The truth is, if you're doing great work but nobody knows about you, what good is that? So I'm really big on using, I call them guerrilla publicity strategies, simple strategies to get your name out, increase visibility, and enlarge your audience. And that's really important. And so I think as we look to that, enlarging your audience, creating more of that visibility, more credibility, more trust in the marketplace. You want people to do business with you. And if they read about you, hear about you, read a blog or listen to a podcast, all of a sudden your trust factor has really increased. And
Mm-hmm.
that's good publicity.
Absolutely. Good publicity. Let's talk about public. Quick question on publicity. You just mentioned good publicity. There is this saying that there is no such a thing as a bad publicity. All publicity is publicity. What would you say now that you are a publicity expert?
I would say I agree with that, maybe 70%. I mean, the truth is the public's memory is very short, but I don't want anyone listening to this podcast doing anything that would give them bad publicity. And if for some reason you get it, realize the good news is that most people's memories are short. And so with that, we want always good publicity to be present for you, and we always want your best foot forward. But if for some reason the bad publicity happens, just know the good news is I don't think it will be remembered forever, except if you're very, very famous.
Brilliant. Thank you very much for sharing that. Now, let's go into some more strategic tips. You mentioned many times guerrilla publicity. What are some of the tips that also you share in your book that people can use in terms of guerrilla publicity?
Yeah, so really important thing is to know that your message is what's first. And so in the message, we want to look at creating and solving problems. So, the problem most entrepreneurs have is they get too focused on what they offer versus what is possible for others to take in about the service. So I think it's really important that you as an entrepreneur focus on the problems out in the marketplace, the problems that your client has, and speak in you language. And then I like people to give 3 solutions, and that's really a great guerrilla publicity tips that keeps things really simple. Is give 3 real solutions. What is it that people need to know that will help them, and be focused on that. That really supports others to get their word out there, and gets you more prospects and more visibility. The other thing, truthfully, is you always need what I call a script. And what I just gave you was the actual formula for that script, meaning you need to know what to say when you meet people and how to say it effectively.
Mm-hmm. So you need to have a script, you need to give 3 things, and also you make sure that you always, you mention to always speak in you. You're always
Yes.
using you. Now, I've seen a lot of people, in particular in our industry, the expert industry, that we are taught to share your story. And I found that many people talk about I. And now you are saying talk about you.
Yes,
Can
exactly.
you expand on this? Can you put some clarity in my mind, please?
Yes, exactly. And listen, I'm all about story. I think story's beautiful and brilliant, and one of my gifts is helping people tell their story. But I want it integrated into the message. And when you're being interviewed, great place to tell your story. But one of the ways I want you to tell your story is to what I call use everything you've got. So one of my specialties is I help people get book deals, and I help people get foreign rights deals who are self-published. Anyway, one of my clients, for instance, she is a self-published author. So here's a great example. This is called Use Everything You've Got. And she's from Haiti. Now, President Trump said a really mean thing about some countries in Africa and Haiti. And I immediately pinged her, even though we were doing a very different story. And I said, this is your story. You're from Haiti. So we created a story that was, what do we call it? Haitian immigrant. I just had to remember for a moment. Haitian immigrant, successful American. And that story got her onto NPR and local TV and local radio. That story got her even more than her new book out, about leaving corporate America and how to transition appropriately,
Wow.
and her how-to for others. So isn't that a wonderful thing? That's what I'm talking about.
Absolutely. So there is a trend here that I'm spotting in this case study, which is to use. That's what you did with your client. You used something that was current. You used something that already was getting people attention. Something in the public eye to then link with the story to help your client get publicity.
That's exactly right. I want you to pay attention to what's happening in world and current
Yes.
events. Yeah. Doesn't matter where you live. There's something in the world, something in your community that might be happening that you can fit into. So here's another great example. A psychologist I worked with, he's an international client of mine. And we were doing a story about how to have less stress. He was using publicity to grow his practice. And he was smart enough to know that if he got more publicity, he'd have more clients. And so we were doing a great story about less stress and how to deal with it. And then what happened was Robin Williams died. Now, we lost a great talent there.
Yeah.
And I immediately called up, his name is Gans, and I said, now is your moment in the world, in the marketplace. And through specific media coaching for him, he was able to get on CNN.com. And he doesn't even live in the United States, right? He was able to get media in his own local newspaper. And then he got onto lots of radio shows and more magazines and podcasts and blogs and all kinds of places and spaces that he would not have just gone as a, shall we say, local psychologist building his practice.
Yes.
That's what I want you to hear. Expand your marketplace.
Because there are a lot of people that would just, go and talk about their strict topics. So, and, I interviewed other people in this podcast that we're helping with PR, with publicity, but that's something that we never talked about. And that's what really is capturing my interest, to understand more about how does this process work. So you are let's talk. Let's say I'm Italian. Let's give an example. I'm Italian, and I live here in London. Now, if you know anything about Italy, it's not. We are having a very critical situation in terms of politically, economically. Is very dark, and there is also this big stereotype of Italian moving away from Italy, and they're very lazy. They don't want to work. They don't want to do much. So, how would someone like me, so then people can understand, could use this story or use this trend to help also give another message and at the same time give more publicity?
Yeah. So what I would do, and you live in London, right?
I live in London.
Yeah. So, by the way, I'm going to be in London at the London Book Fair, helping clients get international book deals. We got to
That's
talk
brilliant.
about that.
When?
I'm going to be there April 9th, coming right up.
Fantastic. So I'll make sure that this episode goes live before that. So
Thank
then
you.
people can connect with you.
Thank you. I so appreciate that.
My pleasure.
Yes, that's wonderful. And what I would love to do is address that and say that, you know, what you can be is really like a spokesperson for Italy. I mean, no, you know, maybe you're not a government official, but you are, you know, you're an Italian person who can comment on this. So the truth is, media always is looking for people who are resources and can comment on things. My Haitian immigrant who wrote a self-published book, she is, you know, commented on one comment that President Trump put out, right? Now, so you want to be looking for things to comment on, things to focus on. If this is a particular issue, well, let's focus on it. Let's talk about it. And I think that would be really special. So one thing I want to recommend to everyone is get on Google Alerts and start putting in keywords that you can talk about. So yes. Italian issues would be one of yours, or Italy, or, you know, like that. And like, I don't always talk about marketing. Sometimes I speak about being a woman. Sometimes I speak about, you know, disaster PR. Sometimes I speak about other issues just because I can.
And that at the same time builds your authority and position in the market, because the more people see you, then the more people will research about you and then find out then what you really do.
Exactly.
Okay, so let's say that now I know I have my Google Alert set up, and now I want to contact this journalist. Now I know that there are, depending from how big the platform is, there are easier and more difficult ways to get in. I mean, definitely to go to my local blogger and going to CNN is a different ways to get booked. So how could I contact, now that I have the story, now that I know what to say, how could I contact big agency or big media companies to then, for them at least consider me?
Yeah, usually you go through the producer of the particular show, for example, or you submit it to an editor, for example, of the major newspapers. Blogs posts are usually, there's an email for consideration, like people I have who are my clients are writing for the Huffington Post, for example, or for other places. And there are really literally places for editorial submissions. And that's how I usually have them going in. A little bit standard ways. However, when you get a Google alert, you see there's a particular source, a particular journalist who's writing about this, then go after them and say, hey, here's who I am. Here's what I've got to offer. One of my clients out of Utah, she's a wealth mastery expert, and I had her call Good Day Utah. It's called something else specifically, but the morning shows, right? Everybody in the world has the morning shows. And I had her call specifically the producer of that morning show and say, hey, you know, it's January 2018, and here's some great wealth mastery tips for making 2018 your best financial year yet. And they thought, oh, I like that. And they immediately put her on a 7-minute segment. And she, of course, did so well because she knew exactly what to say that they've already invited her back.
That's so brilliant. That's so brilliant. So now we have the full picture. And And I think that as a biggest takeaway for our audience right now, for our listeners, is then to make sure that you follow those steps, because what Jill said can get you in a lot of media. Now, I've been lucky enough to be featured in many media, and I'm focusing a lot on it because I know about how important publicity is. That's why I write for Forbes and the Huffington Post and so on. But it's a conscious effort. As Jill said, it's a conscious effort, and it needs to be a priority, because then immediately people see around, you can charge higher prices.
Exactly. It up levels your expertise,
Yes.
your power, the perception of you. And the truth is, it's all about perception. So congratulations to you on creating that visibility in the marketplace.
Thank you. I really appreciate it. It did. It took a lot of work.
Of course,
But,
Simone, it
hey,
always does. But
but
this is
it's
for
worth
everybody,
it.
is you have to get focused on it.
Absolutely, it's
And,
worth
you
it.
know, you don't have to do everything that both of us are doing, but take baby steps and be consistent and persistent in the marketplace.
Brilliant, fantastic. Now we have. Can we stay for a couple more minutes? 2 more minutes.
Literally 2 minutes.
Literally 2 minutes. Okay, one more question, which is lifting the veil in your business. What is the number one way for you to get clients that you use
Oh,
personally to
wow.
get clients?
Well, come on, I have to be a little bit partial here, but I think the number one way to get clients is the power of publicity. And I said it a little bit earlier in the podcast, and that is, I have seen it to be one of the most powerful strategies to bring you more prospects, more clients, more familiarity, more trust in the marketplace, higher ROI, because when people see you, recognize you, they immediately trust you. You immediately get more credibility and that kind of just inbuilt recognition that, well, any kind of advertising, any kind of direct mail, any kind of other kinds of marketing could not buy you. People immediately trust you, like you, and know you because you've gotten public relations.
Fantastic. Thank you very much for sharing. Now, Jill, how can people get in touch with you? How can people reach out to you or buy your book, your new book, Profit of Kindness?
Thank you so much. If you go to jilllublin.com, and there's lots of L's in there, and maybe you can put it in the show notes.
Yep.
Thank you, jilllublin.com. Please, you can see how to work with me. I teach publicity crash courses all across the world and on live Zoom as a webinar. I can help you out that way. Let me know if you have a great book idea. I can help you get book deals or foreign rights deals. And also, you can send us an email. It's wonderful. It's support@jilllublin.com. We'd love to connect with you. We'd love to help you in any way. And yes, my latest book, go check it out, Profit of Kindness.
Fantastic. Thank you very much, Jill. It was a beautiful interview. Thank you for staying these 2 extra minutes. Now, I let you go because I know that you have something immediately right now. So thank you, thank you, thank you. I absolutely loved the interview.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. My pleasure.